tactics, a lot of changes to their players. So could this be one of the most difficult games to prepare for? Good morning. Yeah, they've made a lot of changes at Leganés, not just tactically, but also signing new players that are getting games. Different players can play in different positions, so that creates a lot of doubts, but games don't only have one face. Sometimes you may need to adapt to a team that defends tightly or plays further up front. So I don't know what they're going to do exactly. I know how they like to defend tight and press with the ball and try to generate difficult situations. It's going to be an unusual game for us because of what happened on Tuesday. So it brings new connotations to the game, but it's a chance to see the team and show how they're able to react in a difficult situation. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
Bon dia, míster. Marc Garriga, Catalunya Ràdio. Per fi, aquesta setmana tindreu un cicle llarg per recuperar-vos.
You've got a long week ahead with no midweek fixture, and particularly on the back of the game in Paris and the return leg ahead. We always say you take things game by game, but maybe you need to start working early on the comeback against PSG. There's still a month until the Champions League game. It's a game we already have set down as an important game. Certainly I have since the night after the game. And it would be foolish not to only think about that game, because we have 4 games before then that we have to play, and they're key games as far as the league's concerned because of our position. And it all starts with tomorrow's game. There'll be time to talk about Paris Saint-Germain and the result and what we'll do in the future. Busquets and Iniesta said after the game in Paris that there was a lack of a footballing plan, and whether this has been spoken about. It doesn't matter what I can say. I just come out here and make my statements, especially the ones I made after a defeat like that, but everything else is something I speak about privately with my players, always trying to find the positive side of things. The rest of it I leave up to you to come up with your opinions. Hard after the game in Paris to talk about comebacks. Some days have gone. Luis Suarez was speaking quite confidently. What do you feel the mood is in the camp at the moment? I think I just answered that question. There's a month until that game. Everything in my head since the day after, Wednesday. It's something that's going to be in my head every night and every moment. But I can't worry about that. We've got a month until then. We'll have to talk about that when the time comes. Right now, we need to focus on tomorrow's game.
Hola Luis, Germán García, Radio Nacional. Me gustaría saber si esto que sucedió el otro día en París puede afectar anímicamente.
Could what happened in Paris have an effect on the team's morale for the 4 league games? Definitely, yes. It was not a result in a competition that we love. It wasn't the result that we wanted. It was a big slap in the face for everybody. But you never gifted wins. Wins don't just win like presents out of the sky. The other team played very well. They deserve to win. We have to accept that. And now we know we need to improve our performances. Definitely. Nothing else to say. It's not something we didn't deserve. It was a fair result. That's the reality of what happened on Tuesday.
Luis, Juan Arias, Cadena COPE. El martes tras el partido dimos en el programa nuestro El Partidazo la información de que el vestuario había perdido algo de confianza en ti.
Talking about perhaps some lack of confidence of the squad in Luis Enrique, who laughs. rather sarcastically. Well, no.
Hola, buenas tardes, Alfredo Martínez.
Pass on that question.
Precisamente uno de los pocos jugadores que ha hablado fue Luis Suárez, ¿no? Que dijo
Luis Suarez, one of the few players to speak, who said he has absolutely no doubt about the coach. Fact is that I don't listen to these things, especially in a week like this. I don't even turn on the radio. Look, I'm not worried. These are things that people say, but I got no comment really about that. I assess my own work. If people don't like it, too bad. And if they like it, great.
El partit de la primera volta a Leganés vau jugar darrere amb una línia de
Talk about the game against Leganés in the first leg when they played with a three-man defence. Went well. They scored 5 goals. But against teams like PSG, could you perhaps take that as an option to play with 3 at the back? And that's the way of perhaps getting the ball out of defence better. In football, everything is valid. I want you to remember that we always like to start with the goalkeeper, with 3 defenders. We've played that system before. We can play different variants of the defence. There are 1,000 different options that we always analyse, but we do things as for what we think is correct for each game. I agree that in the last 2 or 3 months, teams have been daring to come at us a lot more. We need to find answers for that. But we need to train more, and we don't get enough training sessions because we play a game every 3 days. But yeah, we tried varying things. I think perhaps people don't appreciate that as much, but I think we're going to improve those performances because not long ago, people said it would have been crazy for teams to play attacking football against us, and now that's what they all seem to be doing. So now it's in our hands to change things. And we want to continue being a team that plays the ball out from the back.
Hola, buenos días. Joan Poquí, de Mundo Deportivo. Después de lo sucedido en el partido de Champions, hay un poco la sensación de que
after the Champions League game, there's a feeling among some people that the season has been lost. How much do you think the league is still alive for you? People who said that are optimists, eh? Those are the optimists. So what do the pessimists think? Well, in the football world, people tend to exaggerate things. Look, it's neither black nor white. There are lots of shades in between. We're still alive in 3 competitions. In one of them, we've taken a bit of a knock, but I'm sure that we've still got a chance there in the league and in the cup as well. We are certainly alive. We're in the final. So that's for the optimists. For the pessimists, I have nothing to say.
Hola, Emilio Pérez de Rozas del Periódico. Quería saber su opinión sobre el hecho que se produjo ayer de que el Granada jugó con 11 futbolistas.
Asking about Granada yesterday, they played with 11 players of different nationalities.
Bueno, esto, mire, me lo han comentado antes de
they said that to me before the training session today. I don't think
jugadores de un equipo que no hay ninguno del país.
It's ever happened. We've seen teams sometimes where there's not one player from the home country. I think that's the way football's going. Things are becoming more global. We're becoming citizens of the world. This is the kind of thing that's going to be happening. I think it's nice to be from one country, but also to accept people that are from other places. It's a thing that's happening in football, not in every team, but I don't think it's necessarily a negative thing.
Bon dia, Bernat Coll de Willow.cat. El club sempre assegura que la funció del Barça B és formar jugadors per al primer equip.
The club always talks about Barça being a team that looks after its youth system. Whether you've spoken with the Barça B system,
presència als últims partits.
Talking about players like Nili, who's not getting many games in Barca B,
El filial pugui perjudicar-lo pel primer equip.
and whether there's any chance of him perhaps coming up into the first team.
Profesional del Barça B con el Barça está muy clara. Es nuestro equipo filial y
It's very
claramente
clear that the Barca B is part of our professional system. That's where players come from. It's not just about them getting results, it's about training the players. I was once the manager of the B team, and Pep Guardiola was manager of the first team. We made our own decisions. Of course, I had nothing to do with what the first team was doing, but I like the Barca B manager to do what he feels is fit. And I don't make recommendations or put any pressure. We do analyse what the B team's doing, of course, all the players, how many minutes they're playing, and it's me who makes decisions regarding players that may have an option of being promoted to the first team.
Jamie Stone, para Bein Sports Estados Unidos. Han pasado unos días desde lo de París.
Some days have passed since Paris.
Desintoxicado, se podría decir, de todo lo que se ha podido
Disintoxication, you could say it.
Señalado. No sé si tú te sientes señalado.
Talking about the headlines in the local press of whether he feels there's a finger being pointed at him. I'm sorry, I have nothing to say. It doesn't affect me at all. Zero. Criticism has a zero effect on me. If it did, then I wouldn't be in this job, wouldn't have stayed in it for getting on for 3 years. That's not something I care about. It's not something I voice an opinion about. We're the first people who have to analyse games and have to be self-critical and find solutions. It's us. Whether we can do that or not is another thing, but it's all part of the circus. There's a considerable distance between yourselves and my person, and I have nothing to comment.
Hola, mister. Ashraf Benaed de beIN Sports. Se habla mucho de su futuro. Quisiera saber,
asking about Luis Enrique's future, whether he has made a decision or does it depend on what happens over the next few months. The only thing I'm sure about is it has nothing, the next few months have nothing to do with my decision. Not one game, not 10 games, not the 38 games of the whole season. Irrelevant.
Sempre comentes que els de dalt ho deixareu punts d'aquí a final de temporada.
You always say that the top teams will drop points. Do you think Espanyol might get some points at the Bernabeu today? There are so many games left to play, and not every team's going to win every game. Hopefully I'm wrong, and the team that wins them is ourselves. We could be confident that we need to win our points, and then it's down to what happens. The team that's top needs to drop points. Against who? I don't know.
Hola Luis, Marc Fuster para Sport.U. Tras el partido ante el PSG, la gente hablaba de que el equipo había perdido un poco la esencia del fútbol.
People say that Barca have lost their sense of football after the PSG game.
Aquello que hacía antes y por lo que
do you think they perhaps lost something of what they had before? I spoke very clearly about the game afterwards, and I spoke very clearly about what that game means today. I know we can look in depth and try to stir the cocktail, but I'd rather focus on the positive things, improving evidently, the players too, the team, everything globally, and then focus on things that make us stronger. For that we need the ball, we need to attack in an orderly fashion, we need to get the combination plays working, we need to defend together, we need to close spaces, we need to work on blocking the opponent's transitions. Things that this team is masterful at. We work on that in training, we've shown it over the last few years, and things can come together.
Hola Luis, buenos días. David Ibáñez de Mediaset Sport. Quería preguntarte esta semana cómo lo has pasado y qué has
how this week has gone for him and what he's done, whether he's been with his family, spoken with his players, whether it's been different this week. I've played a lot of Ludo with my wife and she beat me.